Before we get into the questions, which we will, I want to point out a couple of things. It's a huge time of change if you hadn't figured that out. I mean, you have to be pretty asleep not to figure out everything's changing. There's some key elements, things that are changing the most right now. Linda, I'm going to ask you to write these on a single new piece of paper.
Okay. Electronic.
Yeah. I guess I have
This
to learn.
is not paper.
I have to learn to adapt. A number of different things taking place, and these relate to a lot of the questions that were asked. The changes involve, first of all, a hierarchical change. In other words, life on the planet has been very hierarchical. You see it in your businesses, your institutions, your societies, but it's also in nature. It's in science and mathematics. Everything has a hierarchical, can you spell that, Linda? It's pretty good. Everything has a hierarchical order to it. You get used to it, whether it's having a boss or having subordinates that work for you, whether it's being even rich or poor. Traffic is hierarchical. Everything. The way food is grown, it's all in hierarchies, in kind of a descending order. And relatively vertical. In other words, there's not a lot of change outside of that hierarchical column. That's all going away. And it's going to scare you, and it's going to scare a lot of people on the planet. They almost need that hierarchy. They need to be told where they fit into the order. It's going away rapidly. Technology is one of the big reasons, because technology basically, in an odd way, democratizes the world and also levels out the playing field for abundance. And you're still going to have your bottom billion for a while, the ones on the lower part of the hierarchy, because they're choosing to be there. Not because they're poor bastards, but because they're choosing to be there. They tend to be the ones who are coming in for the first lifetimes on the planet, and they stay in what has been referred to as the bottom billion, the poor of the world. Don't feel sorry for them. Grant them opportunity, indeed, but then it's up to them. You've been used to the hierarchy, and other than the bottom billion, it's changing rapidly. Your own hierarchy is changing. The way your cells, your molecules, your DNA, and everything else are organized in your body all run through what we call the aniatron, which is the body's communication network. That's changing, and you probably feel it. You probably feel it in your body. There's a lot of questions in Linda's pile about the body. It's changing. It's going away from hierarchy. You're going to find that it's also happening in society, in businesses and institutions, and ultimately even in the government. And it's a radical quantum change. People freak out about it. They've got to have their hierarchical columns. So that's changing. The other thing that's changing for so many of you, and this relates to all the questions, that's changing is your world has been externalized, if you would write external, for as long as you can remember. Everything is a perspective of what's on the outside, and sometimes a desperate attempt to find what's on the inside, but it's always referenced by what's on the outside. The way you feel about yourself is largely based on your perception of how people feel about you. If everybody loves you, then you can love yourself. But if nobody loves you, it's hard to love yourself because the perspective is externalized. You look out at the world around you, and you see it, even though it's coming from your eyes and your receptors, but you see it as being external, and it's not. It's going to be a tough one to get through with some of the Shambhala, because they're going to insist that it's out there. And I'm telling you, allow the perspective to change, because it's all coming from in here. It's all your energy, even if there's other people. It's your perception of them. They're actually really not in your energy. You are perceiving them there. It's kind of like a virtual world. They're really not there. You're perceiving them there, but they're actually outside of your energy. They can affect, you let them affect your energy and your perception, but it's actually all really internal. It's going to take humans in general a long, long time to figure this one out. But actually, quantum physics is going to discover it first, and then ultimately it'll be used in psychology to say, you've been external forever, go internal. Everything you perceive is coming from you. Every answer is in you, but you want to believe it's out there. Everything you need, all the abundance you need is right here. And it's really, really, really simple, but you want to keep struggling and pretending it's out there or somebody's keeping you from it. It's so simple because it's all right there, but damn, that's a hard concept to get over, particularly when it's been basically brainwashed and hypnotized into you that everything you need is out there. I contend nothing, you need nothing whatsoever, including love or sex, is out there. Nothing. Well, actually, when you think about it, you're making love to somebody. And in a way, it's you're really not. It's kind of like, and I use the example of virtual reality because that's going to be a really big thing. Even Cauldra and Linda just bought some of those virtual reality thingies. But imagine for a moment, you're making love to somebody, and I won't animate this. I was going to embarrass dear Linda. You're making love to somebody, and for the new ones listening in, now they're going, oh yeah, I like this group. My question is, are you really? Aren't you really making love to yourself? Aren't you really just, because they're actually not externalized. They're not outside, they are outside of your energy. You're just making love with your own energy. Now, isn't that going to ruin a few nights for a lot of you? But it's true. And you start realizing that that's actually a really good example. You're making what?
You can't come up with a better example than
No,
that.
I thought that was mighty toasty. I thought it was really good. You're making love to somebody, and it's all a perception, but you're really still just in your energy. Now, imagine the implications on human psychology when they start understanding that, not blaming it on something on the outside and not feeling the whole world's out to get them. It's actually pretty scary when you realize this is all mine, all mine. It raises a lot of questions. I can hear the questions coming already. No, it's not fake or imagined, but just realize it's in your energy field. There is another souled being that is, in a way, participating, but not within your energy field. They're in their own, having their own experience of what it's like to make love. It's fascinating when you really understand. So externalizing, that's going away. Everything starts to become internal. You start to realize it's all your perception. Therefore, you can recreate it however you want with ease and grace. And by the way, that's the key to staying on this planet after realization. The other thing that's changing very, very rapidly for you and for humans in general is local. Local. Would you write that down, please? In the history of humanity, I'm going to say post-Atlantis humanity. In the history of post-Atlantis humanity, everything is local. I've talked about it before. Most people, from one lifetime to the other, stay within about 50 miles or less of where they had their last lifetime. And they're with the same family they had. And that's, if there's any reason to want to, ascend, that's it right there. Get out of here. But and it's a fact. There's a misperception in some New Age circles that you have lifetimes all around the world with a lot of different people. Not. You really don't. You probably more than anybody, but they'll stay in that same culture and that same family lifetime after lifetime. That's kind of sad. Now, that's changing rapidly. Rapidly, because Now, just the internet brings everything global. Travel. You see some of the new potentials for travel on the planet. You're used to your what I always call the metal horse, the iron horse. That's going to be fading into obsolescence very soon, and not just replaced by battery, but replaced by flying craft. And you can imagine the traffic congestion there. Flying craft, and what are some of the other things that you have? Your magnetic loops, things like that. Travel changes very quickly to the point right now, actually, I mean, this isn't just science fiction, but they're working on technology right now that'll be here within about 8 years, where you can literally travel from, let's say, New York to Los Angeles in about 40 minutes. That blows apart localization that's occurred on the planet forever. It blows it away. Now, there'll still be those who hibernate, who don't want to go anywhere, who just stay at home and, I guess, play on the internet. But basically, we're shattering some of the old paradigms. And then the other one, the big one, linear. Linear. It's kind of tied in with the hierarchical, everything in an order. Time is linear, or so humans believe. It's not. It's not. One of the most exciting things in our work ahead is when you realize how the future has always been there, coming and visiting you. And you actually go into the future often in your dream state, but then there's that barrier that stops the mind from realizing it. And everything stays linear. Like tracking like that. That's changing rapidly, particularly with technology. It can't be linear anymore. Humans are going to get very disoriented as things go off the linear track. That's why I said in Pronost, a fair number of suicides. They just can't handle it. The rapid change. For you, Shambro, for you new ones watching in, we go from linear to and. And, you know, the human mind thinks so linear. If you're going along on a line like this, and they say, well, let's get off that linear line, they just draw a new line. And it's a little bit different, maybe a little different slope. It's just another linear line. We're going beyond that into what I call the and. I've talked a lot about allowing recently because we're just kind of creeping into the and. We're going to get there and talk more and more about it, but you can be human and you can be a total light being at the same time. You don't have to be one or the other. You can be a masculine and you can be feminine at the same time. It's the and. You can be anything you want. You can be a musician and an engineer all at the same time. You can be human and the master. You might have days that are more human, with more gripes and aches and pains and farts, or days where you're truly a master, where you just are on that park bench, and days when you are absolutely both. That's when it gets fun. When you're not just that boring linear anymore. You are all of it. You're I don't like the word so much, but multi-reality and not multi-dimensional. And you're conscious and aware of it, and you're like, I am so and today. I mean, I'm here and I'm there. I'm sound asleep and I'm wide awake. I'm a master, I'm a putz, all at the same time. And that's where we're going. These are the things that are getting torn apart right now for all of you. That's really so much of what we're doing here, and ultimately for humanity. And this also makes a very nice acronym of where things are right now. Took you this long to notice that I had to say it.